Hey guys, welcome to a quick video on something that I completely forgot to talk about in my Endgame review video. This discussion is about a specific scene in the movie, and it's not so spoilery of a scene itself, but this is in a very spoilery part of the movie. If you don't know what happens about halfway through the movie, this can ruin your experience of it. To summarize, and this is the last chance for spoilers, get out now if you haven't seen the movie yet. The surviving Avengers and now Captain Marvel hunt down Thanos after he uses the stones to destroy the stones and promptly bring him to an end. Thor finally goes for the head this time. Good job, buddy. Without the stones, however, they're unable to bring those that were snapped back. So initially, all hope is lost. Until Ant-Man shows up. Once Ant-Man shows up, they learn about the quantum realm. And they decide that they can use the quantum realm to travel through time and get the stones from the past. They go back to different times in history where the stones were prominently involved, and bring those back so they can unsnap everything. 3 stones were all in New York at the same time. The Time Stone, which is with the Ancient One, the Mind Stone inside of Loki's scepter, and the Space Stone, which is inside the Tesseract. During the endeavors to get all these stones back, a plan goes very poorly. And Loki winds up with the Tesseract, teleporting away to who knows where. We certainly don't know. And as the movie continues, there's nothing related to it that shows up again. Cap and Tony go back to 1970, where the Tesseract and Pym particles are in the same location at the same time period, but there's no mention of Loki and the Tesseract ever again. I really was expecting something related to this to pop up, but nothing ever did. And now I'm wondering if we should be really concerned about this, or if it doesn't matter at all. Let's talk about why it's a bad thing first, and why we should be concerned. 1, it's Loki. 2, he's got the Tesseract. And 3, that's not good. We know that there's going to be a show about Loki on the new Disney Plus streaming service. So it would make sense for this timeline's Loki to get away, wouldn't it? It would mess up that timeline, but maybe that's the gist of the show? I heard that the show was supposed to focus on him messing with different points in history, so that makes sense, since this timeline's Loki isn't dead. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Infinity War, I guess. And I know that they talk about time travel being in different movies like Back to the Future and what the rules of time travel are, and then promptly break quite a few of those rules, but really, I don't really care about that. It doesn't make the movie a flop for me. If you're that critical, maybe movies about a giant purple monster and magical stones isn't for you. So you should probably ignore the Grimace movie that they're working on right now. But speaking of magical stones, I was immediately drawn to Dragon Ball Z when they started talking about time travel. Yes, Dragon Ball Z. DBZ essentially uses the multiverse rules with time travel. If you travel through time, you're traveling to a different dimension entirely. If you were to run into yourself, you're not the same person as the person you are there. That's why Stark couldn't be seen with the other Avengers. They're entirely different people, although that would have been a really funny scene. So even though the regular timeline's Loki is dead, presumably anyways, have we really gotten any information on that? Maybe. I guess I just don't know as much as I should. So even though the regular timeline's Loki is dead, this universe's isn't. And we can only assume that he was able to escape. But here's the flip side of this theory. A friend asked me if Thor's hammer in the timeline where Rocket and Thor traveled to was gone now. But then we remembered at the very end of the movie that when Captain America takes all the stones back to their original times, he takes Mjolnir with him. And then when we see him as an old man, he doesn't have it anymore, as far as we can tell. So I'm thinking that when Cap took the stones back, he also took Mjolnir back. And when he went back in time, he probably made sure that the timeline involving Loki taking the Tesseract didn't happen. So maybe we're making a mountain out of a non-existent molehill. And if that's the case, that's kind of lame. But if it's not the case, good. I love Loki. I can't wait for the new Loki show. It's going to be a good time, that's for sure. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Not Really Coach Max Goes to the Movies, but I guess a discussion? There's not a really good title I can think about this. This is a real short video by the time I edit all this down. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel for the rest of the week, where I'll be releasing a retrospective on Mario 64. Something as unrelated to Avengers as you could possibly get. See you later.